Every year you tell yourself, this is the year you're not buying another impulse plant in April, and every year you're standing in the same nursery aisle, hauling home the same $30 perennial. That looks amazing for 3 weeks and is a brown stick by July. Meanwhile, your neighbor's back bed hasn't been touched since before the pandemic, and it looks better right now than yours does after an entire weekend of work. Today I'm giving you 9 perennials that go into the ground this month, root through the fall, and then ask you for absolutely nothing ever again. Not next spring, not 5 years from now. Number 4 is so completely ignore proof that I forgot I'd even planted mine, then found it thriving 2 years later under a pile of leaves I never bothered to rake up. Before we get into it, drop your zone in the comments right now. 2 of these behave completely differently below zone 6, and I want to tell you exactly which ones to skip. I read every single one. Quick note before the list. Everything here is chosen for one reason and one reason only: root establishment. A university extension office study I read years ago tracked perennial survival rates by planting month, and August planted stock consistently outperformed spring planted stock the following year, simply because the roots had a full autumn to spread before the top growth ever had to compete with summer heat. That's the entire logic behind this list. Nothing fancy, just timing. Okay, let's get into it. Number 9, Catmint, the cultivar Walker's Low. Silvery green mounds topped with spikes of lavender blue flowers that bloom almost non-stop from May straight through frost. Here's what most gardening content skips. People think it's a spring-only bloomer that fades by July, and that's only because nobody ever tells them to cut it back. Catmint blooms in flushes. Once the first flush fades, the plant shifts its energy into seed production instead of new flowers, unless something interrupts that cycle. Cutting it back forces fresh growth and a second full flush within 2 to 3 weeks. The mistake gardeners make is watching that first bloom fade in June, deciding the plant is done, and pulling it out in July, right when it would have come roaring back. Plant it now in full sun, water deeply twice a week for 6 weeks, and next July, shear the whole clump back by half. You'll have flowers again within 3 weeks. Skip the straight species, Nepeticateria. It's floppy and seeds itself into every corner of the bed. Walker's Low stays a tidy 18 to 24 inches and doesn't spread where you don't want it. Number 8, Black-Eyed Susan, the cultivar Goldsturm. Golden yellow daisy flowers with a dark chocolate brown center, blooming from July into October. Everyone assumes Rudbeckia is short-lived because their grandmother's patch disappeared after a few years. It didn't die. It moved. Goldsturm spreads by underground rhizomes, and the original crown genuinely does decline after 3 or 4 years, while the ring of offsets around it takes over the job. That's the plant working exactly as designed, not the plant failing you. The mistake is seeing the center thin out, assuming you killed it, and ripping out the whole bed instead of letting the healthy outer ring do its job. Plant now, 18 inches apart, in full sun. Every 3 years, dig and divide that outer ring in early spring, and you will have Black-Eyed Susan forever without ever buying another plant. Number 7, Sedum, the cultivar Autumn Joy. Thick, succulent leaves and flat flower heads that open dusty pink in August and deepen to rust by October. Garden centers market it as a fall color plant, but the real reason to plant it is that it is nearly impossible to kill. Through drought, poor soil, or straight up neglect. It stores water in its fleshy leaves and stems, the same trick a cactus uses, which means it can go 2 or 3 weeks without rain and never show a wilt. The mistake is overwatering it in rich, amended soil, which makes the tall stems flop open right in the middle of the bed, just as it's about to bloom. Plant it in average to poor, well-drained soil, water it in once, and leave it alone. Leave the dried flower heads standing through winter. They hold their shape and feed the birds until spring. Skip anything labeled generic tall sedum on a clearance rack. Those are often unnamed seedlings prone to flopping. Autumn Joy, now often sold as Hylotelephium herbstfreud, holds its structure without staking. Quick pause. If you want the follow-up video on which of these to combine for color running from May straight through frost, subscribe now so you don't lose this list when the algorithm buries it next week. Number 6, Daylily, the cultivar Stella de Oro. Grassy clumps of foliage topped with small gold trumpet flowers that rebloom in flushes from June through September. Most people think daylilies only bloom for a single day, which is technically true of one flower. But a mature clump throws dozens of buds across the whole season. Stella de Oro is a reblooming cultivar, bred specifically to push out new flowerscapes. continuously instead of one big spring flush, which is why it looks tired for a week and then comes right back on its own. The mistake is deadheading it obsessively. Spending 20 minutes a day snapping off spent blooms the plant was going to replace regardless. Plant it now, 12 to 18 inches apart. Full sun to light shade, water deeply once a week for 6 weeks, then never again except in true drought. Avoid the old tawny daylily you see growing wild in roadside ditches. Gorgeous, but it spreads aggressively and can take over a bed in 3 seasons. Stella d'Oro stays a controlled, well-behaved clump. Number 5, purple coneflower, Echinacea purpurea. Stiff-stemmed pink-purple daisies with a spiky orange-brown center, blooming July through September. Most gardening advice tells you to deadhead coneflower for more blooms. Don't. Leave the spent flower heads standing. Goldfinches strip the seed heads all winter long, and the birds working your yard are doing free pest control for every other season that follows. A bed you deadhead into tidiness is a bed that the birds skip entirely. The mistake is planting coneflower into rich, heavily mulched soil, and then wondering why it rots at the crown by February. Plant in average soil with sharp drainage, full sun, spacing 18 inches apart, and keep winter mulch off the crown itself. That's what causes rot, not the cold. Real quick, are you working with mostly full sun back there, or mostly shade? Type sun or shade below. I want to know how many of you actually need a shade-specific version of this list before I build the next one. Number 4, Yarrow, the cultivar Moonshine. Flat clusters of mustard yellow flowers over silvery, ferny foliage, blooming June through August. Yarrow has a reputation as a weed because the wild roadside version spreads aggressively, but the named cultivars behave completely differently. Moonshine was bred as a sterile hybrid, meaning it doesn't set viable seed the way the wild species does, so it holds a controlled clump instead of colonizing the whole bed. The mistake is avoiding Yarrow entirely because of one bad experience with the wild version, and skipping one of the most drought-proof, deer-proof plants you can put in the ground. Plant in full sun, poor to average soil, 12 to 15 inches apart. This is the one I mentioned earlier, the one I genuinely forgot about under a pile of unraked leaves. 2 years later, still there, still thriving, zero attention given. If this is saving you a trip back to the garden center next spring, tap that like button now. It costs you nothing, and it puts this list in front of someone else who's about to buy the same dead annual you used to. Number 3, Hosta. Broad, textured foliage in blue-green, gold, or variegated patterns, the actual backbone of a low-maintenance shade bed. People obsess over Hosta flowers, but the leaves are the whole point. Most varieties bloom for 2 forgettable weeks and hold foliage for 5 solid months. Hosta is shade adapted, meaning its entire growth strategy is built around conserving energy and expanding slowly underground each year, not pushing constant new top growth the way a sun perennial does. The mistake is planting Hosta in full sun because shade tolerant sounds like it might mean sun tolerant too, then watching the leaves scorch and curl by July. Plant in part to full shade, moist, well-drained soil, 18 to 24 inches apart depending on the mature size listed on the tag. Water deeply for the first 6 weeks, then let it handle itself. Skip a generic unlabeled Hosta tray. A named cultivar tells you the mature size up front, so you're not transplanting it in 3 years because it outgrew the spot. I have a Sum and Substance planted along a north-facing fence line since 2016, and it has never been fed, never been sprayed, and never been divided. It gets a little bigger every year, and every year I forget it's even there until the leaves unfurl in April. Number 2, bearded iris. Sword-like foliage and ruffled, richly colored blooms in late spring, available in nearly every color except true red. Most people think iris need constant dividing and fussing. They only need dividing once they've earned it, roughly every 4 to 5 years, not every single year. Bearded iris grow from a rhizome that sits partly exposed at the soil surface, and planted correctly, that rhizome photosynthesizes on its own and multiplies steadily without rotting. The exact opposite of the bury it deep instinct most gardeners default to. The mistake is burying the rhizome under 2 or 3 inches of soil or mulch, which traps moisture against it and causes soft rot within a single season. Plant in August with the top of the rhizome just barely visible above the soil line. Full sun, average well-drained soil, and never mulch directly over the rhizome itself. Number 1, Peony. The plant that outlives the person who planted it. Deep green foliage, enormous fragrant blooms in late spring, and a lifespan measured in decades, not years. Nurseries will tell you peonies are fussy, that they need staking, feeding, constant care. The truth is almost the opposite once they're planted correctly. Peonies form eyes, the small pink buds at the crown, and those eyes need a period of cold dormancy, along with the correct shallow planting depth to trigger flowering. Get the depth right once, and the plant asks you for essentially nothing for the rest of its life. The mistake, and it is the single most common one, is burying the eyes too deep, which produces years of lush green foliage and not one single flower. Plant the eyes no more than 2 inches below the soil surface. Full sun, average soil, 3 feet of space from neighboring plants for airflow. That's the only technical detail that actually matters. Everything else people tell you about peonies is optional. After close to 20 years of gardening, this is still the plant I recommend first to anyone who tells me they're bad at keeping things alive. You're not bad at it. You just haven't planted the right thing yet. A cultivar note worth knowing. Skip the unmarked bargain bin peony roots sold in a plastic bag with a photo taped to the front. You have no idea what bloom color or bloom time you're getting, and germination rates on those bagged roots are noticeably lower than a named, container-grown cultivar like Sarah Bernhardt or Festiva Maxima, both of which have been garden staples for over a century for a reason. 3 mistakes that will undo everything on this list if you're not careful. Mistake 1, watering too shallow. A quick 5-minute sprinkle every evening in August heat trains roots to stay near the surface, where they bake the first time you skip a day. What these 9 plants actually need is a deep, slow soak, 2 to 3 times a week for the first 6 weeks, enough that the water reaches 6 to 8 inches down, not just the top inch of soil. Mistake 2, skipping the mulch. A 2 to 3 inch layer around anything newly planted in August keeps the root zone cooler through the remaining hot weeks, holds moisture between waterings, and insulates the roots once the first frost hits before the plant has fully settled in. Mistake 3, planting too late in the month. Every plant on this list wants 6 to 8 weeks of warm soil before the first hard frost to establish properly. Push this into late September in a cold winter region, and you're gambling with the plant's first winter. If you're watching this in the back half of August, plant this week, not next month. Here is your complete checklist: Catmint, Black-Eyed Susan, Sedum, Daylily, Coneflower, Yarrow, Hosta, Bearded Iris, and the peony that outlives everyone who ever planted it. What zone are you in, and which one of these is going in your yard this week? Tell me both in the comments below. If this is the video that finally stops your spring impulse buy cycle for good, subscribe, hit the bell, and go get your hands dirty before the soil cools down.